In the Amazon, size is not the most dangerous thing about you. What kills here doesn't always have teeth you can see coming. Some of the animals on this countdown are smaller than your finger. One lives in your backyard. One doesn't even need to touch you. By the time we get to number 1, you will completely understand why a 9-meter snake didn't make the top spot, and you will never think about swimming in a river the same way again. Number 9. The green anaconda, Suchiri. Yes, the largest snake on Earth, a constrictor that can reach 9 meters and 250 kilograms, is number 9 on this list. Hold that thought, because it tells you everything about what's coming. The green anaconda kills by making breathing the weapon. No venom, no chemical system, just coils that tighten incrementally with every exhale its prey takes until the chest can no longer expand and the cardiovascular system collapses under the compression. It has swallowed capybaras, caymans, large deer, and confirmed adult jaguars whole, unhinging its jaw to accommodate prey that seems geometrically impossible to consume, then lying motionless in a flooded marsh for days while it digests. Its olive green body is indistinguishable from water, vegetation, and shadow in the slow swamps and flooded forests it calls home, which means you don't find an anaconda, you stumble into one. In Brazil, it is called the sucuri, and river communities don't have dramatic warning stories about it the way outsiders expect. They have quiet rules about where you don't linger near the water after dark, because an animal that doesn't move until it has already decided to is a different kind of threat than one that charges. So yes, this is number 9. Pay attention to what comes next. Number 8, the jaguar. Most people would put the jaguar higher, the largest cat in the Americas, the most powerful bite of any big cat relative to body size, a hunter that evolved to crack open turtle shells and kill caymans in the water. And it comes in at number 8. The reason is simple. The jaguar is an animal you can theoretically see coming in an environment where most of the other things on this list give you no warning at all. That said, the jaguar's killing method is worth understanding because it is unlike every other big cat's. It doesn't go for the throat the way lions and leopards do. It goes straight for the skull, driving its canines directly through the top of the head or between the vertebrae of the neck, targeting the brain or spinal cord for a kill that ends before the prey registers what happened. Bite force studies confirm its jaw produces more force per unit of body weight than any other felid on Earth, enough to pierce the armored hide of a cayman. It swims freely and hunts in rivers. It climbs. It moves in near silence on the forest floor and operates primarily at night, meaning every terrain advantage you might imagine having in the Amazon, the jaguar shares or owns outright. Attacks on humans are genuinely rare. But rare is not the same as impossible, and in a forest where this animal has been the apex land predator since before humans arrived, it has never had a reason to be afraid of anything walking beneath the canopy. Number 7. The black cayman. The black cayman is the largest predator in the Amazon basin. 6 meters, approaching 1,000 kilograms, built on a body plan that evolution abandoned improving roughly 80 million years ago because there was nothing left to improve. Its skin is almost entirely black, which makes it phenomenally effective at disappearing into the dark rivers of the Amazon at night when it does most of its hunting. Eyes and nostrils at the waterline, the rest submerged, generating no surface disturbance while sensory receptors along its jaw detect the vibration of nearby movement with a precision that doesn't require visibility or proximity. The attack is not telegraphed. No warning posture, no sound, no ripple. Just water that was still a moment ago and suddenly isn't. Jaws closing at over 3,000 pounds per square inch, followed immediately by a death roll that uses the animal's full body weight to ensure nothing that entered those jaws has any mechanical possibility of leaving them intact. River communities across Brazil, Peru, Bolivia, and Colombia call it the shadow that eats, a name that describes exactly what it looks like and exactly what it does. It was hunted nearly to extinction for its hide in the mid-20th century, and conservation protections brought it back, which means the Amazon's rivers are now fully shared again with something that has been the uncontested ruler of those waters since before the river took its current shape. Number 6 is smaller, significantly smaller, and somehow worse. Number 6. The electric eel, Porake. In 2019, Smithsonian researchers announced the discovery of a new electric eel species, Electrophorus voltae, capable of generating 860 volts, the highest bioelectric output ever recorded in any living animal on Earth. A standard wall outlet runs at 120. The creature that now holds that record lives in the slow brown rivers of the Amazon, looks like a thick cable draped across the riverbed, and breathes air, surfacing every few minutes with a quiet gulp before disappearing back into the murk, which is often the only visible sign it's there at all. Its body contains 3 specialized electric organs that produce low-level pulses constantly for navigation, then switch to rapid high-voltage bursts for hunting and defense. What makes it particularly dangerous for anyone in the water is that electricity doesn't stop at the surface. It propagates outward through the surrounding river, meaning you can receive a serious shock from an eel you haven't seen and are not touching. There is also a documented and deeply unsettling behavior where larger individuals launch themselves partially out of the water to press directly against a perceived threat, bypassing the water entirely and delivering the full charge at point-blank contact. The Porake isn't technically an eel at all. It's a knife fish, more closely related to catfish, which somehow makes it stranger. A shock alone is survivable. Losing muscular control while submerged in an Amazon river is a completely different conversation. Number 5. The bushmaster, Surucucu pico de jaca. The bushmaster is the longest venomous snake in the Western Hemisphere, confirmed individuals past 3 meters. And unlike most large vipers that become predictable with size, this one remains a precision ambush hunter that almost nobody ever sees before it strikes. Its Brazilian name, Surucucu pico de jaca, means jackfruit spike, named for the rough-keeled scales that cover its body so completely that it disappears against the dead leaf litter of the jungle floor, which is exactly where it spends its days buried and motionless. At night, it builds a thermal map of the surrounding darkness, using heat-sensing pits between its eyes and nostrils, tracking the body warmth of passing animals with an accuracy that requires no light whatsoever. And when it strikes, it doesn't commit to a single bite. The bushmaster strikes repeatedly and rapidly, injecting fresh venom with each contact. That venom is a layered assault. Hemotoxins that eliminate blood clotting, myotoxins that dissolve muscle tissue at the cellular level, and neurotoxic components that disrupt nerve signaling simultaneously, producing hemorrhage, tissue necrosis, and organ failure, in a progression that has required limb amputation in survivors and caused deaths even in patients who reached hospital care with antivenom available. It is also the only pit viper in the Americas that lays eggs and guards them, producing young that hatch fully venomous and functional. Most human encounters happen because someone walked across a patch of jungle floor the bushmaster had claimed for the night and disturbed it accidentally. The snake, not aggressive by nature, did exactly what it was built to do. Number 4. The tarantula hawk wasp, the devil's horse. There is a scientist named Dr. Justin O. Schmidt who spent years deliberately getting stung by every venomous insect he could find and rating each experience on a scale. When he reached the tarantula hawk wasp, he described it as blinding, fierce, shockingly electric, and said the only rational response to the sting was to lie down and wait for it to be over, because attempting anything purposeful during those minutes was essentially beyond human capacity. That description alone tells you what this insect is. The tarantula hawk earns its name through what it does to its prey. It hunts tarantulas, spiders that outweigh it several times over, paralyzes them with a single precisely placed sting, drags the living but completely immobilized spider into a burrow, lays one egg on its body, and seals the entrance. The larva will feed on the living spider for weeks, eating carefully around vital organs to keep the food supply alive as long as possible. Humans are not the target. This wasp wants nothing from you unless you threaten it. But threatening it can mean brushing past one on a garden path, because these insects live throughout Brazil, near towns and trails, not only in deep jungle. The sting won't kill a healthy adult, but the total physical incapacitation it produces, the kind that takes people directly to the ground, creates its own category of risk in terrain that doesn't forgive suddenly losing control of your body. Some things you survive and spend years not quite being able to describe. This is one of them. Number 3. The Black River Stingray. The Black River Stingray is not hunting you. It doesn't stalk. It doesn't chase. It has no interest in anything larger than a small fish or crustacean. It simply lies pressed flat against the bottom of an Amazon Blackwater river, buried under a thin layer of silt. And the problem is that nothing visible on the water's surface tells you where it is. Its disc-shaped body and mottled coloration make it so completely part of the riverbed scenery that experienced fishermen who have spent their entire lives on these waters still step on them. Not because they're careless, but because the camouflage is genuinely perfect against a background that has zero visibility. When triggered by contact, the tail whips upward instantly and mechanically, driving a serrated, venom-filled spine through whatever surface touched it. And the sensation that follows is not described by victims as a sting. It is described as a burning blade twisting inside a deep wound, radiating outward in a way that doesn't resolve the way surface pain does. In moderate cases, hours of severe pain and swelling that eventually fade. In serious cases, necrosis, where the tissue around the wound darkens and begins dying outward from the puncture in a process that requires surgical removal to arrest and leaves permanent scarring. Secondary infections are common, and in communities where the nearest hospital requires a river journey, the outcomes are considerably worse. Every fisherman along the Amazon and Orinoco basins probes the riverbed ahead of every single step with a long pole before putting weight down. That is not a cultural habit. That is the accumulated result of generations of people who learned this the hard way, so you don't have to. But most visitors to the river don't know the rule until after they need it. Number 2. The fire caterpillar, tarantula. The most dangerous thing about this animal is that it looks like something you would want to pick up. Soft, woolly, almost decorative. The kind of creature a child would reach for instinctively. Those fibers are not hairs. Each one is a hollow, venom-loaded spine, engineered to snap off on contact and inject toxin directly into the skin before you've even registered that you touched something. The tarantula, as it's known in Brazil, has accumulated names over the years: burning bug, assassin caterpillar, and every one of them is medically accurate. The surface pain hits first, a burning that spreads fast and intensifies into something that feels completely disproportionate to the size of the animal that caused it. But the surface pain is almost a distraction, because what the species Lenomia obliqua is actually doing is dismantling the blood's ability to clot. Hours after contact, victims begin experiencing internal bleeding that doesn't stop, hemorrhage that can reach the brain, kidneys that begin to fail, a systemic collapse that has killed people even after hospital admission with antivenom on hand. The detail that makes this number 2 is not the venom mechanism. It's where they live. Not in deep, untouched jungle, but in backyards, orchards, on garden fences, on laundry hung outside overnight. Many victims never see what touched them. A hand on the wrong branch, a shirt pulled off a line, a mango reached for without looking. Whatever you pictured as Amazon danger before you started this video, the thing waiting in the undergrowth of your own backyard probably wasn't it. And yet here we are, which brings us to number 1. Number 1. The kandiru, the vampire fish. Number 1 is the size of a matchstick, pale, nearly translucent, essentially invisible in the cloudy water it inhabits. A parasitic catfish called the kandiru that has generated more sustained, visceral dread per centimeter of body length than any other animal in the Amazon, and for reasons that are specific enough to be genuinely difficult to shake once you understand them. In its natural ecological role, the kandiru detects the respiratory current flowing from the gills of larger fish, follows that current back to the source, and lodges itself inside the gill cavity using backward-angled spines that make it self-anchoring. Surgical removal is the only reliable way to extract it once it has set those spines. That much is documented and not disputed. What scientists still argue about is the human question: whether urine in the water genuinely attracts the kandiru by mimicking a gill current, as Amazon river communities have maintained for generations, or whether only direct physical contact initiates the response. The honest scientific answer is that the mechanism is not fully established, which means it is not ruled out. And documented cases of kandiru entering human body cavities do exist in the peer-reviewed medical literature. Every river town in the Amazon basin passes down the same piece of practical advice to every generation. Never urinate in the river. Not as folklore, not as superstition, as the specific, hard-won survival knowledge of communities that live alongside this fish and have observed what it does. Of everything on this list, the anaconda, the cayman, the bushmaster, the jaguar, it is the kandiru that produces the most particular, most personal, most difficult to forget category of fear. Because it is invisible, because it is silent, and because the danger it represents is one that no amount of size, speed, or awareness gives you any meaningful ability to see coming. So, still think size is the most dangerous thing in the Amazon? Drop your number 1 in the comments. And if this list just permanently changed how you think about swimming in a river, you're welcome.